Hi, I'm Leona Lion from Between the Lions, and you're watching a podcast where nostalgia comes to life. It's Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, so keep being wild about reading and enjoy the show. Roll it!
Welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, the podcast where nostalgia comes alive. Since July of 2021, Jake and his friends have interviewed professionals in the worlds of acting, directing, writing, puppeteering, and many more. Who will they be chatting with in this week's interview? Find out in this Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, where nostalgia comes alive. Happy to have you here with us today. I'm your host, Jake Deffinbaugh. I'm here today, as always, our co-host, Chris Bixby, and Matt Bingel with his pal, Maury Monster. How you guys doing?
Hello. Hi, we're doing
Doing
good.
good.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, how you doing, Jake?
I'm doing great, as always. Marty, what do we have for today?
Today's guest is a puppeteer. He puppeteered Tigger in the Disney's Winnie the Pooh, the new musical adaptation in New York City, made by the same people at Sesame Street, the musical. Rockefeller Productions. We'll get to that. He's also done some puppeteering for the Emmy-nominated PBS kids show Donkey Hodie, and is now a Sesame Street puppeteer. What an honor. Here he is, Mr. Sebastiano Ricci. Welcome. How you doing?
Hey everybody, so good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah,
of course.
pleasure.
Happy to have you here. Very
Yes.
happy to have you here.
So
So,
already I have a friend that looks very similar to you in a bin somewhere in my workshop.
do you really?
Oh,
That's
nice.
cool.
Wow.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Nice.
Back when I was younger.
that's really cool. That's really cool. So we know who you are, but for those that don't, in your own words, would you care to introduce yourself a little bit?
Oh, sure. Hello world. I am Sebastiano Ricci. I'm a New York-based puppeteer, puppet builder. You pretty much said it all in the intro. I worked on Disney's Winnie the Pooh. I worked on Sesame Street. I like long walks on the beach. I like candlelit dinners. I don't know how much time you have. I can keep going.
So, what was your background like and how did you grow up?
So I'm a native New Yorker. I grew up in Staten Island. My dad was a Japanese martial arts instructor. He had a dojo in Chinatown, and my mom actually worked in television. She was a stage manager for NBC. She worked on a lot of soap operas in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I guess it's kind of in my blood to be working in television. So I was kind of surrounded by that growing up.
Ah, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, as a puppeteer, is that always what you aspired to become?
For the most part, yeah, which is, I guess, kind of rare to know what you want to do at such a young age. In kindergarten, I know I had a phase where I said I really wanted to work at Carvel Ice Cream and I wanted to be one of their cake decorators. I wanted to be, because this was before they
Nice.
had now they have the printable edible paper that they print all the characters on, but
Right.
before that they actually had artists come in and they would draw the characters on with like this edible jelly. But I cannot draw 2D to save my life, so I'm glad that didn't work out. At a very young age, I knew that I wanted to work in television and I knew that I wanted to puppet. So I'm super fortunate that I get to live my childhood dream.
Oh,
Wonderful.
amazing.
So,
Fantastic.
so now, who are some of your biggest puppetry influences?
Let's see. I mean, obviously, everybody I'm sure would say Jim Henson because he kind of revolutionized the style of puppetry.
Oh, yeah.
So many other people. Sherry Lewis is a big one for me.
Oh, yeah.
We actually previously interviewed Mallory Lewis.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Lovely.
Got her on.
Very, very cool. When I was little, my mom bought me the box set of the Sherry Show, which was
Wow.
kind of has a similar vibe to the Muppet Show, where it's all of Sherry's characters running a TV station. So that was a big influence. I think the duo of David Joyner and Bob West, who are the people behind Barney, David Joyner doing the puppetry and Bob providing the voice, was a big influence as well.
Oh, yes.
Just the way that David moves that puppet is just insane.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how he
Absolutely.
does it. I don't know how he's not like severely hurt from how heavy that thing was.
I know,
Right?
especially doing like all
Right?
those 360s and everything.
And the
Yeah,
bell kicks and
right.
everything.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing's heavy. It's not light. A lot of metal pieces.
No.
Crazy. So them two, and of course Carol Spinney, who's again another phenomenal
Yes.
full body
Oh, yes.
puppeteer. Just and all the original guys, all the original Muppet guys. But yeah, and then I guess in terms of building, because I also build from time to time. Don Celine's a big one. Raleigh Cruson and Laura McLean, who I'm actually good friends with now. Pat
Nice.
Brymer, who built most of Sherry's puppets. Pat Brymer built a lot of the Sherry Lewis characters. And I love Waylon Flowers. His performance as Madam is just insane. And
Oh, yes.
her sculpt, the head sculpt, and just the way his puppets are built are just beautiful.
So what were some of your favorite puppetry shows or projects growing up?
Like to watch, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And of course, Sesame Street. Of course, the Muppet Show. I was a big Bear in the Big Blue House fan. Loved that.
Yes,
Yes.
amazing.
Wonderful.
To this
Amazing
day,
show.
I still think it's one of the best TV puppet shows to exist.
Absolutely. Same here.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Barney and Friends, and and before that, Barney and the Backyard Gang, which was
Mhm,
VHS
yeah.
series prior to the PBS show. I think is just really fun to watch. I grew up in the Gen 2 area of Barney, where
Yeah.
he's like in
Yeah.
the tree.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's very nostalgic to watch that, and that's just like David and Bob in their prime.
Absolutely.
The Sherry Show, I loved the Sherry Show. I watched Between the Lions, and I watched a lot
Yes.
of
Oh,
Easy.
wow.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We produced the interview Pam Sierra and Jennifer Barnhart. So they're
Oh,
Yeah,
they're
great
so
friends of ours.
wonderful. They're so sweet.
They
so
really are.
sweet.
amazing.
Both of them.
Yes.
Yes.
Both of them are. And you hear that, folks? VHS tapes. Yeah. These. One of these.
Yep.
One of these.
How do you
Well,
play
we
music
have
on
a
that?
DVD of it, but
How does that work?
What?
Does that like play music? How does that work?
No. It plays like it plays audio, but also plays video as well.
Interesting. Does it like connect to your phone? I gotta look into that. That's really
No.
That'd be really cool,
it's
though.
old school. It
Yeah.
would be cool. That's like old. That's like old.
All right. All right, Jen.
All right.
listen
Let's
to-
patent that VHS to your phone.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting now I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, would be. Long shot. So as a kid, were there any Muppets that you say were, I guess, the most fascinated by?
I guess the more and more I learned about Big Bird and how Big Bird was operated, I think that I grew like a really strong respect for Carol and just, I guess, full body puppetry, because I'm learning about Big Bird, and I'm learning how okay, you're in a suit, okay, but it's probably not that bad. No, your hands up in the air holding 30 pounds, okay, that's crazy, but there's probably like a hole for you to see, right? Nope, you can't see through it. You have to look through a tiny little cube strapped to your chest. Okay, well, at least you can see that, but it's not your vision, it's what the camera sees, and the camera's reverse, so everything you see is in reverse. I'm like, okay, this is really hard. Plus you're also roller skating, and you're memorizing lines and singing and not sounding out of breath and not tripping, and it's just more and more things getting added on. I'm like, this doesn't feel like a thing anyone can do, but clearly it was done amazingly well, and it blew my mind. And then not a Muppet, but I was always super interested in how Barney operated.
Yeah.
I was at a young age. For the most part, I was able to know. I could understand that these are puppets. People are controlling them. I can look at Barney or Big Bird and be like, "Yep, you can see that there's an outline of a person in there somehow." But it didn't take away from the show for me personally. But I was just always intrigued as to how Barney's mouth moved. There, you can see both hands are moving. They're live hands. So what's happening with the mouth? And it wasn't until years later that I saw on the internet, because at the time the internet was still somewhat fairly new. That somebody finally posted that, hey, there's a bar that somebody bites down on.
Yeah.
For every syllable, their head up and down, which
That
sounds crazy.
I know.
That is crazy.
Like,
But,
what?
but at the time there wasn't really much information out there behind the scenes of that show.
Like
And
now,
it turned out
it's just-
now it's everywhere, of course. But it turns out that the person that posted that happened to be my friend Sedwan Hooks.
Oh yeah.
He was the one that was
Oh yes.
Oh,
so yeah, now years later we're super close. So I think that's pretty funny.
oh,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. We're also big Barney fans too. So
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. So now, how did your love of puppetry kind of transition into getting a career in puppetry?
Well, let's see. I think again, the more and more that I learned about puppetry and what being a puppeteer meant and what you had to do, what it entailed, I realized that it just doesn't sound like work. It just sounds like a fun thing to do, but it is. But people actually made a living doing it, and I was like, well, this sounds way more fun than I guess sitting, behind a desk for the rest of my life. So just finding out that hey, people are just having fun. They're just having fun. That's all it is.
Right.
Was very, very appealing to me. And I was fortunate to actually get to know Carol and Debbie Spinney. My stepdad knew or met Carol and Debbie at an event, and then talked about me. And then I got to meet them a bunch and get to talk to them. We had like a secret handshake type thing where we would every time we see each other we would tap our noses like this, which is
Oh.
it's a reference to The Sting with Paul Newman,
Oh yeah.
where you would tap your nose with people that were in the know. So that was just so special, getting to know them, and for Carol to kind of like just tell me his story over the years and tell me why he loves what he did, how he got to Sesame Street, and that really opened my eyes to this is something that's possible. It's not just a faraway dream. This is actually something that
Right.
could happen.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. So I'm kind of curious, what were your first puppeteering job was?
I don't know. I don't know if I know what my first job was. I can think I know I had a YouTube channel where I used to put out a lot of puppet content, and then in high school I worked in this program called Kids on the Block. It was very short lived because not a lot of people in my high school wanted to do it. But it was a really beautiful program where you would bring puppets into classrooms in elementary schools, and you would teach about disabilities, and you would teach about self-care and respect for one another. And it was a really beautiful program that we did. But a lot of YouTube stuff, and then I worked with friends on their own channels doing videos for them as well.
Nice.
So you got to work at the Jim Henson Company for a time, working in puppet construction and fabrication.
Right.
What goes into fabrication, first off?
What goes into fabrication? Well, fabrication, there's a lot of different steps when you're building, at least I guess, a television style puppet. And working at the Henson Company and other puppet shops, there's no really one way to do it, which is something I learned. You can construct a puppet in so many different ways, but it is a lot about having a set design, a design set to the puppet, and having the right materials and having the right mindset of knowing how to take something that's flat in 2D and putting it into the 3D world, which is not something everyone can do. It's rather difficult. It's interesting how some people can do 3D stuff like that, but might not necessarily be able to do 2D stuff, which is me. I can't draw at all, but I am lucky enough that I can convert 2D things into 3D.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Working at the Henson Company was a blast. Learned a lot working there. It was an internship while I was in college. And I got to do a lot of fun things like sorting Big Bird feathers and grading them based off of how nice they looked, because that's where they know where they judge where to place the feathers. So the really, really nice Big Bird feathers will be like on the front, and then I guess the ones that don't look as nice would go on the lower part or in the back. So doing stuff like that and getting to unbox and pack up puppets that are going to international co-productions of Sesame Street was super cool. So getting to see characters that you normally wouldn't see in America because they all go through Henson for refurbishments and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. And you also worked as a puppet builder and wrangler at Rockefeller Productions. What was that like?
Right, that's right. That was right out of college. I was so fortunate that my buddy John Cody gave me a call and said, "Hey, we're building puppets for this secret show. I can't tell you what it is
Mhm.
yet, but if you'd like to come on, it would be great. It would be full time." And I was fresh out of college. This was like right during the beginning of COVID, where nobody knew what was going to happen, who knew what jobs would be available. So I was super super fortunate that I was able to work with him on that. Um, and it started just building the puppets for the show. And then eventually, once the show got on its feet and they cast it, that's when they started looking for wranglers. And just being around the puppets so much and knowing how they were constructed, because I was on the team that constructed them, it just made sense that I would be the puppet doctor on set or on stage.
Nice.
Nice. And speaking of on stage, like Marty mentioned in your introduction, you performed Tigger off-Broadway in Winnie the Pooh, the new musical adaptation. Can you talk about kind of like what the process was like of kind of starting to work on that?
Yeah. Well, I guess it started with being a builder there. And what's funny is I never in a million years wanted to do live theater. That was not something that was on my radar. I have stage fright. I was like, I don't want to be
uh,
on a stage. I never did theater in high school. I didn't do it in college. I've never been in a theatrical show. I would like get nervous going up in like symphonic band to play music on a stage. Like that stuff freaked me out. So I was like, there's no way I could know lines and sing songs and be on a stage in front of people. It was so not what I wanted. But while I was working there, I was talking to Krista Robbins, who is one of the producers, and it just came up like, hey, would you guys ever audition any of the people that are in the shop, any of the builders? And she said, yeah, we would do that. And it was more so just to see what it's like to audition, because I really didn't have a lot of auditions under my belt, just to know like what it feels like to be in the audition room. It was kind of it felt very low stakes, because I was like, I have no experience doing theater. There's no way they're gonna cast me. And then I went through the process, I got called back, and then somehow I got cast in the show with no in an off-Broadway new musical without any theater experience. The imposter syndrome was very real during that first run. But I've been lucky enough to be able to travel with the show to Chicago and then travel back for another round off Broadway, so I was able to get more comfortable. Um, yeah, so super, super, super lucky that I had that portion of my life.
Oh,
Fantastic,
that's
fantastic.
great.
So I'm curious, overall, how did it feel getting to perform in a musical adaptation of such a long-lasting franchise like Winnie the Pooh?
I mean, it hits heavy. Winnie the Pooh is one of those franchises that has been around for so long that there's like more so than Sesame Street. There's so many generations of people that grew up with Winnie the Pooh in so
Oh,
many
yeah.
different, different ways. So we had little tiny kids who are watching it for the very first time. And then we have parents that grew up watching, the animated show from the 80s. And then we had grandmothers coming up with their tattered old Winnie the Pooh plush that's like
Oh,
God knows how old.
Oh,
Doesn't look anything like Pooh, but they grew up with Pooh as well. So it was just beautiful to get to see such a variety of people in that audience. And everyone that I talk to, that whenever we talk about the show, I always say my favorite part of the show is the after show.
Hmm.
So getting to do the VIP experience, which is where
oh,
oh,
they
yeah.
talk to you. And that was so much fun, because that was our chance to not only improv with these characters that are so meaningful to us, but also get to hear people's stories
Yeah.
of who is so important to them. Why they
Mhm.
Tigger helped them through a hard time, or they watched Winnie the Pooh while they were stuck in the hospital, like things like that. Really really got us, and it just shows you how powerful characters that are around for this long, how powerful they can be. So it was
Absolutely.
super special. Super special.
Oh.
And I
That's
watched a lot of Book of Pooh growing up, so it was also just fun to
Oh,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and
Yes.
these characters.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome series, by the way. So.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that should have been on answered in the other question. That's another show I loved growing up.
Awesome.
Yeah, same. Me too. I watched that show a lot
Love
growing
Book
up
of
as
Pooh.
well.
Oh yeah, and the
Yes,
music.
now on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah,
so.
the music's amazing on that
Music's
show.
great. Yes.
That's what I love about that and Bear, because it's the same
Yes.
same creator. The music is
Yeah,
just
Mitchell
so,
Quickman. Yeah.
it's just the music is so good.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. So I'm kind of curious. How long did it take to learn all the Winnie the Pooh songs? For the Broadway.
Interestingly enough, I don't think it took a whole lot of time, because the songs, luckily for us, were relatively simple. I think for me, learning multiple tracks of the show, so I played Tigger, but I also played Eeyore, Rabbit, and Owl. So just knowing multiple tracks at the same time, I think that's where it got probably more time consuming, and I guess more difficult juggling different roles in the show. But once you start doing them, it kind of just comes second nature, and then you just got to a point where you don't think about it, and it's just, oh, I'm standing in this spot, so I know what I have to say when I'm in this spot and what I have to do. It kind of just becomes second nature, which is great, because I didn't know that going into it, and I was very nervous about memorizing that much. But didn't take as long as I thought. Just repetition.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Second
Yeah.
Yeah. So you also do marionette puppetry at the Swedish Cottage Marionette Theater. Can
Right.
you talk a
You do your
little bit
research.
about that? Yes, we do. Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
Yep.
So, I went last year to see my buddy Emmanuel Elpenord, who played Eeyore off Broadway. He performs there, and I went to go see him do a show. And he took us backstage afterwards, and we just got to see how it was all done. And I just thought it was absolutely amazing. Marionettes are very, very intimidating, especially for a lot of people that are doing like television style puppets, because it's so different. It's indirect manipulation, where you don't actually directly move parts of the puppet. You have string that is in your way. So it's not something that a lot of people in my form of puppetry tend to try out. But I said, if there ever comes the time where they're looking for more puppeteers, I'm totally willing to at least give it a try. And a couple months later, Emmanuel texted me, and he said, hey, they're looking for a couple of puppeteers. And I auditioned, and they told us that there's a 5-week training with Bruce Cannon, who is the artistic director of theater, and he taught me everything that I know about performing marionettes. And now I'm there quite often, and I'm doing some pretty heavy marionette tracks. It's so much fun. It really is a lot of fun. I would recommend, and anybody who's doing a style of puppetry, or just a style of art in general, I think it would be really, really beneficial to branch out and try out some other styles that might have some things in common, but also have a lot of differences. There was a lot I had to drop in terms of what I know about puppetry coming from television that didn't necessarily work for marionettes. But then there's also a few things that still line up. So I think it's very beneficial, makes you a very well-rounded performer, and it's just great to have more stuff like that in your tool belt, because you never know when you're going to need it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
And a lot of big names came out of the Swedish Cottage. Eric Jacobson worked there for a while.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's
Eric's
cool.
wonderful. Yeah, I love Eric.
Great. Yeah, he's lovely.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
now moving on to some of your TV puppetry, you also mentioned a bit in your intro working on a Donkey Hodie. And for those watching or listening who haven't seen the show Donkey Hodie, a few of those characters are based off of characters from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and the show Donkey Hodie that's on PBS was created by the wonderful David Rudman and Adam Rudman. So for you, what was it like working on Donkey Hodie?
Oh man, that was my first time on a real set, a real TV set. And funny enough, I got the call for Donkey from Spiffy 20 minutes prior to getting my call that I got cast as in the Winnie the Pooh show. It was literally within a half-hour span.
What?
Wow.
It was quite a day.
That must have
Like,
been
what?
that must have
Same
been
day.
a surreal kind of day for you.
Roller coaster of emotions.
Very much so. I was literally working at the puppet shop building puppets, and then I get these 2 calls back to back, and I'm like, this is a year ago. I would not be expecting any of this to be happening, you know. So I'm just beyond blessed and fortunate that that I've been this lucky. But literally within a 20-minute span, I got a call that they wanted a set of hands on the Donkey Hodie Halloween special that aired last year.
Oh, I love that special.
Yes,
It was a
amazing
fantastic
special.
special.
So much fun. And what an organized set they have. You walk in and there's
Yes.
just a giant wall with a giant storyboard with every single shot laid out. So everybody on set is on the same page of where we're shooting. You do a big cross through as we go throughout the day, which shots are done, so we know what's left. And I was just like, this is so organized. I love this. And we were always on top of things. The crew members and the cast are so kind and so talented. Haley and
Yes.
Frank, so freaking funny.
Yes,
Amazing.
Stephanie.
Yeah, lots of
All
wonderful
of them.
people on
Oh,
that show. Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
also super fortunate that I got to work with 2 pen pals of mine, Frank Cesario and Mel Campbell, who are also puppeteers on the show. And Frank is the wrangler as well. And
Nice.
we were all friends through the internet because we all had YouTube channels when we were younger doing puppet content. So we all became buddies when we were younger, and now getting to work on a PBS show together is
I
just
know.
Like
Wow.
insane.
I
I
know.
already know, like
That's
the same
amazing.
day you got those calls, I'm like, I'm doing those. Like, what's going
What's
on?
happening
What?
right now? Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
crazy. It's like, did they call the right person? Is this right? I don't know.
I know. Yeah.
But
Like, did they actually call me? Like,
Like,
what?
in just the last half hour? That's
literally,
Really.
it was like 20 something minutes, and I was like, guys, there's another phone call coming in. It was nuts.
Oh my gosh.
wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's
So-
an amazing show.
Yes, certainly an amazing show. Wonderful show.
Oh yeah,
And
it's just
as
beautiful.
you mentioned,
It's all-
yes,
sorry?
and the Halloween special, as we said, was amazing too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yes,
Yes.
such
A
a
lot of fun.
a lot of fun watching it. It was amazing. Yes, that whole season was amazing. Yes, that whole
And it's
first
just such a
season was just,
beautiful. Oh yeah, yeah. First season's fantastic, and just a beautiful show to watch. Because
Yes.
just about all of the sets there are practical. They do very little green screen. So if you watch the show and you see all the mountains
Yeah, I can see that.
Mhm.
background,
Yeah.
most of the sound stage is the background. So like this much here is all layers and layers and layers of hills and stuff. And then we have this tiny little section right here to perform in. So most of that sound stage is all set, and it's all practical, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And I hope it goes for 50,000 seasons because it's so.
we hope so too.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
We hope so.
Can't wait for
as
next
well.
season.
Yeah.
Very
absolutely.
excited for season 2. So most recently, you've become one of the newest puppeteers over at Sesame Street.
That's
How
right.
how did you begin working for them?
So it probably stems back to about 2018, where I auditioned for one of their puppeteer workshops, and I got in, and it's essentially their way of teaching you how to puppeteer the way Sesame Puppeteer does. And I guess it's not an audition or anything. There's no guaranteed work, which they make sure to tell you. But it is, they're always scouting to look for new people, just to have people on their radar. To see how you are as a performer and how you are as a person. And then last year, a little over a year ago, when was it? Time is meaningless now. I have no clue exactly when it was, but it was sometime 2021, late 2021, and I got a call, and it said Robinson, Martin, and I'm like, who the hell is Robinson? Who is this calling me? I don't know. And then it clicked. I was like, oh my goodness, it's Marty. So I answered the phone. They're like,
What?
Oh
the
my
caller
god.
ID was backwards, and I'm like, wait, I don't know any Robinsons. And he pretty much called, and he was telling me that we're graduating the first group of Sesame Street mentees, and we're looking for the next class, and he wanted me to be a part of that, which is just incredible. So for those of you that don't know, Sesame Street has a program called the Puppeteer Mentorship Program, and it's about bringing in young puppeteers to have them come in and work, but kind of being taken under the wing of some of the main Muppet guys and showing us how to puppeteer the way they do it, and kind of forming the next generation of Muppet performers. So I'm in that with I think 10 other puppeteers. And yeah, so I am now one of those mentees that get to work at Sesame, and it is a dream come true. It's so much fun. Everybody's so kind and so talented, and I would not trade it for anything in the world.
We can definitely attest to the how down to earth the that's better. Camera froze for a second there. We can attest to how down to earth the Sesame people are. We've had quite a few of them on our show.
Oh yes.
Let's see. Recently we had this will be up by the time this airs. We had Leslie Carrera Rudolph, who's just the sweetest. We had God, there's so many. Carmen Osbar we had on. Ryan we had on. Who else? Kathleen Kim, one of the newer ones.
Yes.
Yeah,
we had.
Like
she's
earlier,
great.
Jennifer Barnhart.
Jennifer Barnhart, yeah, we've had her on.
Oh my
Marty
gosh.
Robinson, you just mentioned, he's a previous guest. And actually, it's funny. If you folks remember our episode with Annie Evans, his wife, he actually made a cameo appearance.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And it's funny. He was like, "Oh, these guys." Well, it's pretty cool that he remembered us, though. Oh yeah, that was really cool that he rememred us. Amazing.
That sounds like Marty. Definitely sounds like Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had Tyler Bunch on before Matt started the show. Before I came in, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
Tyler's amazing.
And all of them are just so down to earth. They are just some of the most genuine, amazing people that we have ever had on in the history of the show, ever.
Definitely.
So kind, and the fact that I can call them my friends and my coworkers is super, super special.
Yeah.
Especially because you have to work so closely with everybody, like literally. You're as an assist, you're usually stuck in a puppeteer's armpit. That's that's the nature of the job. So you just pray everyone wears their deodorant, and you're good to go.
Yeah,
they're all very good about.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, it's truly a dream come true, because it's what I wanted to do when I was a kid, and it's something that feels so far away. It feels like it's how the heck could that happen? But
have you ever had moments where like pinch me moments? Like, am I really dreaming? Like, do I like you were mentioning imposter syndrome earlier? Like, I'm sure you've had plenty of those on Sesame. It's like, do I really belong here? Like, am I actually here?
It's not something. It's not something that just goes away. It's not something that just stops happening. People that are there for years and years and years still have it. You're sitting there and you're like, did they make the right call? Or did they put the wrong phone number in? Because it just feels like, boom, it just happened, and you're like, wait, is this where I'm supposed to be? So you have moments of, is this correct? But then you also have the moments where you just feel so at home, and you just know that this is where you're supposed to be, and that you wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Marty always said that if you can envision yourself doing something else, then puppetry is not for you. If there's moments where you're sick of looking at puppets, or you're sick of puppets, this isn't for you. This is this is a full-time thing, being a puppeteer, and I don't have those feelings, so I know that this is where I need to be.
I'm sure. And I know somebody brought it up I think it was some previous guest. I can't remember who, but I know that even celebrities have felt that same
Yeah,
way of
yeah.
being on
Yeah,
Sesame
yeah,
Street.
yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't I don't remember names of who people have brought up that have been like, am I really here? Oh, I know
know.
one. I know one that
Yeah.
comes to mind. Tracy
Uh-huh.
Chapman. Oh yeah. I
Uh-huh.
forgot who had brought it, but Tracy Chapman felt
Yeah.
that way too.
Yeah.
Bunch of celebrities
So
have.
nostalgic. It's so nostalgic for so many people. It's similar to
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh, where multiple
Yeah.
generations grew up watching Sesame Street. So they step foot on the set and they're like, "Whoa, I feel home. I feel nostalgic."
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did
Yep.
did mention Rockefeller. We did go see Sesame Street the musical last fall. Well, Matt did.
Oh, very
I
cool.
did. It was an incredible show, and I will be honest, I got a bit teary eyed seeing those characters, such iconic characters, up close and personal. Like it got me a little teary eyed. It made
That's
me
right.
feel nostalgic. Like
Did you actually
'cause
take a picture with the honkers?
I did, and that I'm not gonna lie, I got emotional like that. That's a dream come true for me. Now he
That is awesome.
needs to visit the set of Sesame Street and his bucket list will be complete. I'm not so sure about
There you
that.
Oh, who
Hey, you
knows?
never know.
But you never know.
COVID
You
is
never
very
know.
COVID's very strict right now with guests, but you never know.
Yeah.
Someday
Yeah.
they might like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep. So yeah, it was from what I heard, it was amazing. It was actually my first time in New York, and it won't be the last.
That was your first
Nope.
time in New York. Very cool.
First time
very
in New
cool.
York last fall. And it definitely won't be the last. Nope.
That's right. Right.
Definitely.
So can you share anything yet that you've worked on with Sesame?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm usually called in as like an assist puppeteer, so I'll be doing a lot of right hands for people. I was called in a couple days for the last season that we just shot. We just shot season 54.
Nice.
That's right. We have a spin-off show on HBO Max, or I guess it's just called Max now. On Max, called My Sesame Street Friends, and it's like repackaged clips from the show, but there's new wraparound bits. And I'm doing some assist work there with Cookie and Grover, and I'm also I'm a talking banana, and I am a dog, and I'm this little bird that's in a birdhouse. So small stuff from time to time. I've been fortunate enough to be in the Macy's parade, and fortunate enough to be in a Super Bowl ad.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yes.
I
Right.
got to
You're
Jewish,
right-handed Cookie Monster, right?
right. Yeah, I was his right hand.
I thought so. Oh
Nice.
wow, that's amazing.
That was
Nice.
super cool. That was super cool.
Yeah, and
And then I got
speaking
to
of, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I also worked at 30 Rock recently on a quick little thing, which is super cool
Oh.
because we were on the gym floor, which was neat. So his sound stage was on one side, and then we were on the other.
Oh, nice. So speaking of the Macy's parade, what was it like? What was that experience like getting to get to perform in the parade?
I was like, great, I can die happy now. Thanks, everybody. It was it was really really fun because when you do a lot of like the YouTube shoots, like not the full season, but like YouTube shoots are this day you work with a couple of performers, and then next time you called in, you're working with 2 or 3 different performers, and then here you're working with a couple. But at the Macy's parade, it's everybody. It felt like a family reunion because it's all the puppeteers coming together to do it. So it was so much fun. It's incredibly surreal because it is. Since I was a kid, it was like that's the thing I want to do. I want to be in the Macy's parade. I want to see what it looks like inside of that float. And it was a grand old time. Getting to peek out, see thousands and thousands and thousands of people like just screaming the characters' names is just crazy. It's like it's hard to in words because you look out and you see like thousands of people to the point where it just keeps going and you can't see anymore. It's like out of a movie. When do you see a crowd that big? Especially now during COVID, you don't expect to see so many people, and it's just continuous.
I know, and you got to
And
do Cookie Monster, which
Yeah.
I can imagine because you weren't
yeah,
right-handing or anything. You actually got to put on the puppet.
that's right. I mean, I was holding him up for David
Yeah,
Rudman, who plays the
right,
guy. I don't play.
Yes.
Right.
right.
But yeah,
No,
it
no,
was
no.
super cool to be holding him up for everybody.
I know, definitely.
Speaking of the Macy Parade, we brought this up on previous episodes. One thing that's very confusing is the monitor delay. Oh yeah, that
Yes.
monitor delay. Yes, the that for those who don't know, there's like a I know some guests have brought it up. There's like a I think it's like it's either like a 5 or 7 second delay from the monitors that they see to what you folks see at home. So you may as well just forget about looking at the monitors when you're on 34th Street.
There were
Yeah.
some moments where we were like, okay, I think it might just be best to look live for quick moments. You need to know when you can do that.
Yeah.
There are moments for close-ups.
If you don't,
Yeah,
It's really gonna throw
Right.
you off.
Right.
yeah.
But it was also interesting is that the monitors they were just such low quality. You know, when you're working on set, everything's plugged in and you're connected to Wi-Fi and all this stuff that I guess makes it super crisp and clean and no delay. But it was very fuzzy, and especially the big wide shot where it's showing the entire float and all the puppets.
Mhm.
You can barely see Big Bird. You know, there's no way I'm gonna see, you know, these are characters in these tiny little windows. So when they did the close-up shots, it definitely helped. But yeah, it's the delay is something.
Yeah. So we heard. So
Yes.
we heard. So some other projects you worked on as a puppeteer include Quickie and Baby Cult.
That's right.
Can you kind of describe what they are for those who don't know and kind of talk a bit about those?
So those were fun. Those were some short films that I did with my buddy Tal Bennett. And a
Oh
few
Oh
other
yeah,
yeah,
previous
yeah.
guest of ours.
Yes, yeah,
previous
yeah.
guest
He's
of
awesome.
ours. Great
Oh,
guy.
cool. He's fantastic. So it was funny because the Baby Cult was for a different production company that we were just both hired to work on. And we were working with Rachel Sennett. I don't know if you guys know Rachel Sennett. She's a pretty popular comedian right now, but I think this was while she was still in college, so she wasn't. I guess she didn't blow up yet. That was a ton of fun. And then Quickie was something we filmed for BIMP, which is the Ballard Institute Museum of Puppetry at UConn. So they have a little puppetry center, and we were filming this short film for an exhibit that was happening there, and it was fun because it really was just like us with a camera. You know, it was a couple of us putting up a camera on a tripod and going. It just kind of it was very down and dirty, like our YouTube channels when we would be making videos. It was us. There was no crew, and it's just fun. You know, just pure fun, just having a good time with your friends.
Yeah.
Of course. So now, aside from performing puppets, you mentioned you also build your own puppets as well. Can you kind of talk about some of your puppet building work?
Yeah, sure. So for a while, I didn't build at all. All my friends that also, you know, made videos online all built their own puppets, and I was just too nervous. I'm like, I don't know if I have what it takes to do this. So for years, I'm watching YouTube videos on people building, and I'm learning, but I'm not like applying it anywhere. I'm just kind of like I'm listening to it, and then it just sits there. And then when college started, I was like, you know what? I just need to bite the bullet. I need to try it and see what happens. And it worked. I watched a lot of puppetry videos. James Kemp was somebody I watched religiously for his puppet content, and I know Adam Krutinger now has a lot of really great in-depth puppet building videos for anyone that's looking to learn. But yeah, I just took everything that I learned from watching James and all these other YouTubers, and I was like, okay, it's not half bad, and it kind of just stemmed from there. I think there is something really great about a puppeteer that also knows how to build. Knowing both ends of it, like vice versa, I think it's really beneficial for a builder to know the needs of a puppet, like what a puppet needs to do. I think it helps build a better puppet, and I think you have a better performance if you understand the ins and outs of your tool, of your puppet that you're working with.
Mhm.
So I'm lucky that I'm able to know both sides of it and have a greater appreciation for both because of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. What would you like to say to those who have supported the projects you've worked on and kind of the people who have helped you achieve your kind of goal?
Well, Thank you very much. Appreciate everyone that's helped me along the way. I can't work in a vacuum. All my friends help me, and then I help all of my friends. So I couldn't do it without them, and just everyone that supports me. That's what you need in order to succeed. My family and my friends. I don't know what I would do without them. So thank you guys. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Of
pleasure.
course. So if people would like to connect with you, where can people find you?
Where can they find me? They can follow me on Instagram if they wish at Sebastiano Ricci. You can contact me on my website, sebastianoricci.com. Those are probably the best spots if you want to reach me for anything. That's where you can, I guess, see what I'm up to next.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Your website and your social media will be in the description down below so people can follow and connect with you.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, and so this last question we're going to that Jakey's going to ask. We ask this to every guest we've had on. Well, mostly every guest. Go ahead, Jakey.
Yes. So of course, this podcast is called Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. Hey, look at that. So when you think of nostalgia, what in your own words, what do you think of, or how would you define the word nostalgia?
I mean, nostalgia for me is always just that really warm feeling of being transported to a simpler time. Usually, when you're younger. So when I think of nostalgia, I'm thinking of my childhood house and the specifics of it, the way it smelled, and like the color of the carpet and the color of the walls, and like the grain on the wood of the steps and the sound of the steps when you walk up. And thinking of those things, it transports you back immediately. Watching your favorite show that you grew up watching, and not remembering it because it's been so long since you've watched it, but then there's a tiny little piece of that show that you're like, oh my god, I remember that. That's where that was living in my brain and I couldn't think of it. That's, to me, nostalgia. It's something that brings you back to a simpler time.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Great words.
Fantastic.
Great return on. Well, to all of our viewers and listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. We absolutely enjoyed our time with Sebastiano Ricci.
Yes, and again, it's been
Thank you
Thank
again.
you
It's
for
been an
having
absolute
me.
blast.
Of course.
yes,
it was
thank
a
you so
pleasure.
much, and thank you for what you're doing, and keep up. And what's next for you, especially for
Yes.
Winnie the Pooh in Australia.
Thank
Sesame
you very
Street,
much.
yes.
Oh, yeah, in
Appreciate it,
Australia.
guys.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely.
of course.
And what do we say,
Great
Jake?
pleasure. Keep nostalgia alive. See you next time. More episodes coming
Bye-bye.
your way.
Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
For now.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show interview. Be sure to follow Jake and the crew on social media and stream the show wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And as always, remember to keep nostalgia alive. Bye-bye.